Reen leaned back again, folding his hands against each other and tapping his fingers. I don't know what to make of you. In what sense? You're either the most accomplished actor and liar I've ever come across, and believe me, I've seen a few performances over the last few years, or you're really this naive. I don't know which I find harder to believe. Irwin's cheeks heated. Naive? You think I'm naive? Maybe I should say innocent. Yeah, it's more innocent than naive. Somehow I think you haven't seen a lot of the world. Of life. Fuck, they've been talking for, 15 minutes and Irene had already picked up on that? Irwin's heart sank. He would never fit in anywhere, would he? Not after having been forced to stay secluded for so long, to be in hiding away from everyone else. The only people he had had contact with were his family, the guards, and the remaining few servants they had left. And even among them, he was an outsider. He was so fucked. He cleared his throat. I assure you I've seen my fair share of things. Yeah? Reen grinned. Tell me one thing you've seen. One dramatic thing you experienced that you'll never forget. Okay, I can do that. Let me think. He had to be able to come up with something, right? Maybe one of the many fights with his brothers, or his parents having another argument, his father berating the guards. But no matter how hard he thought, Irwin couldn't remember a single thing that had been dramatic enough to impress Reen. His shoulders sagged. I guess you're right. My life's been pretty boring. Until now. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Reen's voice was kind. It feels like it. I mean, you called me naive and innocent. Those aren't compliments. They can be. Did you mean them in a positive way? Reen seemed to think about it. Neutral. More like an observation than criticism. He'd take it. It sure beat the hell out of the sharp sting of disappointment when he hadn't been able to think of a single exciting thing to share with Reen. Thank you. So, what can you tell me? You said you weren't sure what the endgame was, but can you mention anything that could help me? He wanted to. God, that's how he wanted to. If he'd had the answers, he would have given them without hesitation. How and why had he chosen this man's side so quickly, especially against his own family? He shouldn't have, but while he was aware rationally he should feel guilty, he didn't. It felt right, standing side by side with Reen. How did you know your Omega was here? He asked instead. I followed his scent until I spotted the castle. It seemed like a safe bet he'd be here since there was nothing and no one else around. And once you sold the castle, you could just walk up. Reen hesitated. The shield repelled me at first, but after talking to someone about it, I followed his advice and broke through. Reen still didn't trust him, and while that wasn't strange under the circumstances, Irwin was still disappointed. He wanted the Alpha to be honest with him, to open up, but that was too much to ask, of course. They didn't know each other, and considering his father held Reen prisoner, Irwin could hardly expect him to drop his guard. I don't want anything to happen to you, he whispered, surprising himself at that honest admission. Thank you. Reen didn't seem to think it was weird. I appreciate that. I understand this must be a difficult position for you to be in, so your support means a lot. Irwin nodded, strangely relieved. I'll leave you be now. You must be tired. Not too tired to talk to you. Reen winked at him and Irwin's cheeks heated. Was he just saying that? Flirting a little, or did Reen mean it? It had to be a flirty joke, something said in jest, but he still found himself reluctant to leave. If you want, I can stay, he said hesitantly. I'd like that. Reen's answer came so fast it had to be real and not a polite reflex. Okay, I'll stay. The smile on Reen's lips made Irwin's belly tickle. Awesome.